Master horse racing with daily racing fields formulator. Now free for DRF Bets members. Sign up to get the best bonus in racing with a $250 deposit match, plus a $10 free bet and free formulator past performances. Go to drf.com/bet to play like a pro today.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Friday, May the 20th. Race number 13 at Pimlico. It is the Grade 2 $250,000 Black-Eyed Susan Stakes 3-year-old fillies going a mile and an eighth. Let's take a look at this very competitive field. Scan the QR code for access to race of the day material on your mobile devices and view free formulator past performances for this race on the race of the day event page at drf.com. Take a peek, handicap with us, and when you've finished analyzing the Black-Eyed Susan, you can bet the race and the entire quality card at Pimlico on Friday with your DRF Bets account. Adare Manor, the number 10, 5-2 on the morning line, Mike. At times, she showed star potential in Southern California. She's coming off of a loss, however, a narrow loss in the Santa Anita Oaks last time out.
Yeah, a little bit of a step backward in that Santa Anita Oaks stand after dueling the pace. Listen, it wasn't that long ago. It felt like she was going to be, perhaps one of the favorites in the Kentucky Oaks, a race that she did not make a couple of weeks ago, but she probably is the horse to beat here.
She likes to show early speed, and as the Timeform US pace projector predicts, there is going to be a fast pace in this race. Now, Adare Manor is used to running in these shorter fields in Southern California. She catches a big field here, a relatively outside post position, and some quick horses to her inside, most notably Missy Greer, who I think is going to be very aggressively handled by Saes.
Yeah, I suspect that horse will show speed. I don't, know how good she is actually, Dan, but I guess, drawn towards the inside, she likes to be forward. I mean, I guess she'll go. There are other horses in here who certainly have enough speed to be forward. We'll see how it all plays out.
Maybe the 9 Interstate Daydream, who showed the way last time out in the Grade 1 Ashland, will show some speed as well. We'll start things off with the number 1 Divine Huntress, who is trained by Graham Motion, 15-1 on the morning line. Flavian Prat takes the mount. This horse was a runaway winner against first-level allowance runners at Parks. Now, her subsequent 2 tries against stakes competition don't look great, but I wonder if she had a little bit of an excuse in the Gazelle. She was wide. It was a race with no pace, dominated by horses that ran on the rail.
Kind of true, and that she was sort of on the outside the entire way, and relatively close. But I don't know, Dan. The 1-2 finishers were right there with her. I don't know. I didn't think she had an excuse last time. I did think she improved a little bit off of her Rachel Alexandra, which obviously wasn't a good performance. I thought she ran really well, winning those 2 races at Parks. I didn't think she ran particularly well in either of her graded stakes tries, and I didn't really want to go back to her in here.
And Nostalgic and Venti Valentine, the 1-2 finishers of the Gazelle, they were nowhere in the Kentucky Oaks. Missy Greer is the number 2 going out for trainer Danny Gargan. Saes has the mount. First time around 2 turns on dirt for this daughter of Kentucky Derby winner Nyquist. Let's watch her most recent start. This is a 1-turn mile at Gulfstream Park, and she went right to the front and she improved her position. This is a filly, Mike, that has improved with blinkers, has improved with Lasix. Of course, will not race with Lasix on Friday in the graded stake.
Right. I mean, she just has to, in my opinion anyway, just has to improve by a lot, Dan. She wins this race easily after just getting absolutely loose on the lead. I want to say that this was a race of the day that we did, Dan, because I can't think of any other reason that I would have, looked at this race prior to them running it. And I just remember it being a really, really bad field. She did what she had to do in there to win. To me, this is a huge step up in class for her.
The number 3 is Miss Yearwood. Ian Wilkes trains, Julian Leparoux aboard, 20-1 on the morning line. Now, Mike, I know you've been dubious of these 1.25 maiden races at Churchill over the years, but this filly won very, very easily. She looks like the typical Ian Wilkes trained filly that improves race after race. She's certainly improved with distance, and this race might come down to who wants the 1 1/8 and who benefits from a fast pace. It could be Miss Yearwood.
Yeah, I think all those things are true. She's another one who obviously has to take a step forward in here. You're right. Those 1.25 maiden races for 3-year-olds early in the year, Dan, I just feel like they just must write them for really slow horses. Most of the time, I don't like the horses that run in them. But Miss Yearwood, not only did she run well winning that day, I felt like her prior two starts on the main track, the one in January at Gulfstream where they sprinted her, and then the runner-up at Keeneland in April. I thought she ran really well in both of those races. I think she has talent. She's really well bred. This is a huge Phipps family on the dam side. This filly could take a pretty big step forward here if she gets the right trip.
Up next is the number 4, Midnight Stroll, going out for Javier Castellano, 15-1 on the morning line, and trained by the dependable and underrated John Terranova, who had another successful meet at Tampa Bay Downs. Midnight Stroll went 2 for 2, including winning this Florida-bred stakes race, going 7/8 of a mile. And this filly went right to the front, controlled moderate fractions, Mike. They went 47 flat for the half mile. No wonder she was able to sprint on home.
Yeah, I mean, she wins the race very easily. It's an impressive win for her, but she did have a pretty good trip in here too. Just faster than this field early, never really faced a challenge, and wins, like a good thing, I guess, Dan. That was on a cutback too. She won a 2-turn race prior to that off the layoff. I thought she went a little bit more of a solid pace that day. Not that they were flying, but she didn't get loose in there. They sort of kept after her the entire way. So it's not like she had some kind of big breather in there. And I like the way that she stayed on through the stretch. I think this filly's a little bit underrated.
Jose Ortiz has the mount on the number 5, Beguine, going out for trainer Dan Pites. And maybe this is the kind of filly. Appreciates distance, might get some pace, improving at the right time. Her first race against winners, it was the right spot. It was a secret oathless edition of the fantasy at Oaklawn. Of course, Secret Oath ran against the boys in the Arkansas Derby, but Beguine ran well, especially considering her relative lack of experience. Let's watch the stretch one. She drops inside of this race, Mike, and this is kind of a tight spot for her, and she battles all the way with Ujiri, who's fairly talented in her own right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give her the credit she deserves, Dan, because it's, as you mentioned, she's very lightly raced and right off of a maiden win heading into this. The flip side of that is she got a great trip in this race. It's a little tight for her in the late stages, but as they came off the turn there, Dan, she had plenty of room to get in there to challenge. And she's really game in here. I like Ujiri as a horse. I just don't know if that's the kind of effort that we just saw right there that makes me want to play Beguine back in this race. I just think it's maybe a little bit tougher for her. And I just didn't really see a huge excuse for her last time. Ujiri, by the way, came back in the Kentucky Oaks as part of that pace and was nowhere in the stretch.
Fans of Maryland racing, myself included, will be rooting for the 6, Luna Belle. Bred in Maryland, trained by Ham Smith, Dennis Araujo has the mount, and this filly has just been arguably the best 3-year-old filly in the Mid-Atlantic region. She's won 5 consecutive races. She's handled the stretch out in distance incrementally from 6 furlongs to a mile and a 16th, and this win in the Weber City Miss last time out, well, it was pretty easy, going 2 turns for the first time. She just sat on the outside. She got the right pace set up, and she blew by these horses in the stretch. She might need to improve a little bit, Mike, against some of these, legitimate open ship-in graded stakes types. And I wonder if we know what we're going to get with Luna Belle after 11 starts. Does she have the requisite improvement in her?
Maybe not. But what she does have going for her, Dan, is she just seems really adaptable when you go back and watch her races. It's like you can ride her however you want to ride her, and she'll get the trip that she wants, and then she'll actually really fire through the stretch. She's a really good horse. This does feel like it's going to be a pretty significant step up in class. I mean, obviously, you don't have all the big names from the Oaks 2 weeks ago, so a lot of those horses are missing, but I still think this drew a pretty good field. And then you start taking her races apart, Dan, and again, I'm not going to knock her, but during this winning streak, she was 3-5, then she was 2-5, then she was 1-5, and then she was 1-9 in that race. I mean, those are races that she's supposed to win, and she's winning them.
Distinctly Possible is the number 7, and I wonder if it's distinctly possible that Chad Prounce circled this race on the calendar when getting Distinctly Possible back to the races, because he was fairly aggressive with her as a maiden last year, second in the Grade 1 Alcibiades, and then she made her seasonal return at Keeneland last month in this maiden race. She looked pretty good, Mike. She beat a couple of next out winners. She's striding out into the wire nicely, earned a 78 buyer, which is a bit light, but she is so lightly raced and well-bred that I can see a step forward. I'm expecting her to be kicking in the stretch.
Yeah, me too. I think she's dangerous in here. That's, by the way, Miss Yearwood, who's running at her in second there, who came from further back in the pack. But Distinctly Possible ran well in this race. She got, a really good trip. Irad gave this horse a perfect ride in this race. Got her right into a great spot on the first turn and then came clear in the stretch. But she still ran the race that she ran in. I thought she looked good in both of her starts as a 2-year-old. I do think she's a dangerous horse in here. They have her a relatively uninteresting price on the morning line. I don't think I would bet her at that price, but I do think she could be competitive in here.
Charlie Marquez takes the mount on the number 8, Candy Light, another one trained by Graham Motion, who is second to Luna Belle in the Beyond the Wire, a one-turn mile last time out. Now, she skipped the Weber City Miss. She's coming into this race fresh. She's going to stretch out around 2 turns for the first time in her career. It was nice to see the sort of buyer wake up last time out.
Yeah, it was. It was nice to see her take a step in the right direction there, even with that race showing on her PPs, Dan. She looks like she's way too slow to beat this, but she's got to improve again, and she's got to improve by a lot.
Interstate Daydream is the number 9, Florent Giroux, going out for trainer Brad Cox. 6-1 on the morning line for a filly that showed the pace in last time out in the Ashland and was simply no match for Nest, who came back and ran so well when second in the Kentucky Oaks behind Secret Oath with a 91 Beyer speed figure. Now, her prior race was a legitimately fast win against first level allowance horses at Oaklawn. I think this filly has some ability, Mike. It's all about what kind of trip she's going to get if you believe the pace will be fast up front, because I think she likes to be up close.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that too. But I will just say, you know, it feels like the Ashland isn't the kind of race you want to be too hard on her for. That's a pretty tough race for her second off the layoff there. And she didn't run horribly in that race. I really liked her return from the layoff at Oaklawn. I thought she looked really good winning that race. And I liked both of her starts as a 2-year-old. I think it's at least worth pointing out, Dan, that in the Adirondack, you know, she was back off the pace in there and she still ran a really good race. So maybe she can sit a little bit.
This filly has a lot of ability, and I like that she has 2 routes as foundation leading up to her 3rd start of the season. Your morning line favorite is the number 10, Adare Manor. Johnny Velazquez takes the mount. This one won 2 races by 25 lengths combined for trainer Bob Baffert, including the Las Virginas, a weak field in which he just destroyed that group. Now, she showed up in the Santa Anita Oaks for Tim Yatin. Let's watch this race. She was odds on, and she was part of the pace, disputing it with the horse on the inside, Ain't Easy, who has quality. I think a lot of folks were disappointed that on the second turn, when Johnny pushed the button, Adare Manor was not there for him. Now Desert Dawn on the outside, who sat a nice trip stalking these 2 leaders, gets to the front. Adare Manor, to her credit, fights back, but she is upset on the day. At least fans of Adare Manor can point to the fact that Desert Dawn ran well to be 3rd in the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, you can point to that because Desert Dawn did come back and run well in the Oaks. I guess the flip side of that argument, Dan, is Adare Manor was on the pace with Ain't Easy, as you mentioned, a nice horse. She also ran a couple weeks ago at Churchill, and she was awful in a stakes race. So I don't know, make of that what you will. This is a really talented horse. I do think that there's a real chance she rebounds here and is just too good for these horses. I'm also, you know, a little bit skeptical. The 2 big wins are just races where she never really faced a challenge against horses that, you know, she just had over a barrel, and maybe she doesn't have this field over a barrel.
Radio Days is the number 11, going out for Shug McGahee and Joel Rosario. 12-1 on the morning line. This filly is graded stakes placed. She was second in the Forward Gal, the beaten favorite that day. I don't know, I've been a little bit underwhelmed in her last 2 races, although most recently she ran into a beast. Adare has turned into one of the better 3-year-old filly sprinters in the country.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this horse was a distant second in there, but I guess she was never going to beat Adare anyway. I'm with you though, Dan. I've been sort of underwhelmed by her basically at all 3 of her starts since she's come back as a 3-year-old. We'll see if she can, you know, find a way to put everything together here, because I think she's going to have to do that. I just don't like her last 3 races.
We know that Todd Pletcher excels at Gulfstream year after year. Favor, the number 12, went 2 for 2 for Todd, ridden by Paco Lopez on those days. Tyler Gaffalion will be aboard for the Black-Eyed Susan. She ran okay, went 3rd in the Fairgrounds Oaks behind Echo Zulu and Hidden Connection. First start against winners, that's fine. This is just a pretty tough post position.
It really is. We'll see if she can work out some kind of a trip. I mean, I feel like there's a chance she could overcome that outside posting, because she's a really handy horse. She's getting good trips in most of her races. I thought she really improved in those 2 Gulfstream miles that she ran. And I don't know, I thought she ran fine in the Fairgrounds Oaks last time against, you know, let's face it, a field that's probably tougher than this one. I'm using this horse. She's a great price on the line, I think.
The well-traveled number 13, Morning Matcha, completes the field for Butch Reed and Frankie Pennington. 20-1 on the morning line. Just didn't do much in the Gazelle last time out, Mike, and I'm beginning to wonder. I think she's a nice filly. I think she's going to make these connections some money. I'm just wondering if she's graded class, especially from this very wide berth.
Yeah, we feel the same way about her. I mean, I suppose just based on her running style and the far outside post, we'll just take her back and try to make one run with her. But you're right about her Gazelle, Dan. I mean, they just sat last where they're saving ground the entire way, and she never really picked up any kind of a run in that race. It was pretty disappointing.
Before we get to our top selections for the Black Eyed Susan, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Instant access to DRFTV content. Top pick time for the Black Eyed Susan. Mike, I like what you're thinking. You're going for a price. You think this pace is going to be fast. You want a filly with upside potential that loves the distance. Miss Yearwood ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, I just like her each of her last 3 races, Dan. I know she's slow on paper. I want to give her a chance in this race and hope that things just work out for her, because I do think she'll probably need to catch a break or two if she's going to win this race. At the end of the day, I couldn't do it with Adare Manor, Dan. I do think she's the horse to beat, and I won't be surprised when she's too good for this field. I just didn't want to take her at a short price.
Well, I can understand that because she reminds you a little bit of Messier, doesn't she? You know, a horse with an immense amount of talent, too. You get the feeling after watching that last race that maybe she could be had at any time. A short price, not enticing for Adare Manor, but I do believe she has the star potential if she runs her good race. I think she's way the horse to beat. I would like to see Luna Belle run well. I think Beguine is going to give a good effort, hopefully at a decent price. 3, 10, 12, 7 for Mike, 10, 6, 4, 5 for me. It's your Friday race of the day. The Black Eyed Susan Preakness weekend is heating up.